get to say, woo, this. My guest today is the first female vice president of the United States. Please welcome Vice President Kamala Harris. I have to ask, out of all the places you could be, why did you choose to stop by the happy place?
Why wouldn't one go to the happy place? We search for the happy place. I'm so happy to be with you, truly.
Thank you so much. And thank you for everything that you are doing and the powerful representation that you are.
Thank you.
What do you miss most about your old life?
Well, you know, we used to take nice, quiet walks. You know, I love The Godfather. You know, the movie's The Godfather. And there's one, have you watched The Godfather?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you know that one scene after Michael is at the restaurant and then he has to leave New York because he's got to get away, and he goes to Italy. And then he's courting this young woman, and they're taking this wonderful walk. And the shot is on just the two of them taking a wonderful walk, and then the shot pans out and the whole village is on the walk with them.
Oh my God.
That's sometimes what it's like if Doug and I take a walk together.
Oh my God. Could you imagine? Oh my God.
So it's a little different. But we still, you know, we're home right now in LA, and when I'm home, Sunday family dinner is a requisite. Everybody knows, and so the kids, if they're in town, if they want to invite people, but Sunday family dinner is my thing, to stay focused and to keep some normalcy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you cook?
I am a very good cook.
You're a very good cook.
Yes, I am. And it is part of my, one day I'm gonna write a cookbook, but I've started to actually write my recipes because the kids, my husband will always say, why don't you write down your recipes?
Yeah.
And I've realized I probably should start doing that. The family joke is that if somebody asks me for the recipe, I'll just say, well, it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We want to try some of your cooking, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
Get a meal. How about driving? Do you miss driving?
I do miss driving. I think I'm going to be testing out an electric vehicle soon.
Oh, okay.
But the funny thing is I had to ask my team, I said, can somebody make sure that my driver's license is still valid? That would be a whole situation, of course.
Oh my God. There's so much in the news lately. Many women are confused and scared. They don't know what to do. Like, what do you say to them?
Well, so here's what has happened in our lifetime. The highest court in our land, the United States Supreme Court, took a constitutional right that had been recognized from the women of America. And by undoing Roe v. Wade, basically made a statement that the government is in a better position to tell women what to do with their own bodies than that woman is. And here's the thing that I think has to be said about this issue. One does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree that the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. That is so true. Yeah, and I think that this just, it troubles me so when we see what is happening in different places in our country, which is really about rolling back progress. You know, the strength of our country has in so many ways been about our continuous path toward the expansion of rights. And now we're seeing these extremist so-called leaders who are trying to restrict rights. And on this issue, there's a simple point at play as far as I'm concerned. Trust women to make decisions about what is in their best interest. Yes. Right? And if they choose with their priest, with their pastor, with their rabbi, with whomever they choose, but trust her.
Trust her. Trust her. I like that. And a lot of Black women and minorities are dying during pregnancy, given, you know, related issues.
It's a big issue. So this is something I've worked on for years, and in particular the issue of Black maternal mortality. Black women in our country are 3 times more likely to die in connection with childbirth than other women. Native women, twice as likely. Rural women, 1.5 times more likely. And part of the issue, especially when it relates to Black women and Native women, is that they walk into the hospital or the clinic or the doctor's office and they're just not taken as seriously. And so the work that I've been doing is to really lift this issue up, because I think we should all agree with those statistics and knowing that we have some of the worst outcomes for maternal health and mortality of any so-called advanced nation. For shame. And so part of the work that I've been doing is to raise this issue and then to put resources into, for example, what we need to do to train healthcare providers about racial bias.
Right.
Doing the work of also uplifting one profession that in particular I think should always be uplifted, which are doulas. And right?
Yes.
And so part of how we wrote it into the work that we've been doing is I said, okay, of the trainers that should train all the other healthcare providers, the doulas should be trainers.
Yes.
Because that's about community-based
Right.
healthcare that is, you know, for what should be a very joyful moment
Right.
in a person's life, giving them that joy and allowing them to have that joy because they are treated with dignity and with respect.
As they should be.
As they should be.
As they should be. You were in Nashville where there was a mass shooting. And then more shootings happened over the weekend. I would like to read a few of the statistics from gun violence, which is not easy for me. There have been over 160 shootings this year, and it's only April. Guns are now the leading cause of death of kids in America.
Oh.
A new survey says 1 in 5 Americans have lost a family member to gun violence, including myself.
Yes.
Also, 1 in 6 Americans have witnessed a shooting. Among Black adults, it's 1 in 3.
And for Black Americans, only 13% of the population, but 60% of the gun deaths. You know, your voice is so important on this, and through the tragedy that you experienced. I mean, I remember when it happened, and I remember how you talked about it then. It's, you know, I was the elected DA of San Francisco. I was the Attorney General of California. I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States. And when I look at the tragedies all over our country that have affected so many people so personally, and the senseless nature of it all.
Right.
Because here's the thing. First of all, we shouldn't have to be presented with this false choice, which suggests you're either in favor of the Second Amendment or you want reasonable gun safety laws. That's a false choice. The point is to say, it is reasonable that we would have background checks, because it is reasonable that you might want to know if someone has been found by a court to be a danger to themselves or others before they can buy a gun. It's just reasonable. It's just reasonable. It is reasonable to say that weapons of war have no place on the streets of America. And by that, I mean assault weapons. Weapons of war.
Right.
They were literally designed to be weapons of war. We need an assault weapons ban. These are reasonable things to do. And, you know, also, you know, we look at our children. You know, there's so many of us were blessed to grow up at a time where we did not have the experience that the children of America are having right now, which is, as they are learning to read and write, they are literally being taught, like taught, this is how you hide and be quiet. If there is a rampant gunman, if there is a mass shooting happening in your classroom. So our children are sitting in classrooms. And I've talked to so many of our children and their teachers. So the kids will know, well, this classroom does have a closet, and that's where it's located. I don't like going to X period because that classroom doesn't have a closet. They sit in class and they're thinking, okay, is my back to the door? While our babies should be just enthralled in the wonders of science and math and art and all the things they can learn, the trauma that is resulting in terms of just that experience that the children of America are having, much less those who have been directly affected. And I just think it is pitiful that the people in the United States Congress do not have the courage to stand up and stand up to the gun lobby, stand up to the NRA, and say, look, I support the Second Amendment, but we need reasonable gun safety laws. Have the courage. You know, and I went down, like you said, I went down to Tennessee, and I mean, again, that was a case where 9-year-old babies were killed. And then 3 of the people who were involved in their school, working at the school, were killed. And then these they call them the Tennessee Three. These 2 young legislators who are in their 20s and another, Gloria, and they stood up and they insisted that the voices and the cries and the demands of the families and the students and the teachers and the preachers would be heard. And you know what happened? These other legislators turned off their mic. Didn't even entertain debating the issue. Like, debate the issue.
Right.
If you got something to say, but don't silence the people. Don't silence the people.
That is so true. What do you say to people wanting younger leaders today?
Oh, we need our young leaders. We need our young leaders to lead. And I say it everywhere I go. You know, I am a child of parents who met when they were active in the civil rights movement. Some of the greatest, if not all, the movements in our nation that have been about progress have been led by our young leaders. We need them. We need them. And I look at, you know, those 2 young legislators in Tennessee. I look at the March for Our Lives. I look at all, they're young because they're saying, you know, if y'all can't figure this out,
We're gonna figure it out.
We're gonna march and we're gonna protest and we're gonna do whatever we need to do.
And they're affected, so they should have a voice.
Right, their lives are on the line.
That is true.
If you like this video, smash that like button and subscribe to the Jennifer Hudson Show YouTube channel. Check your local listings or visit jenniferhudsonshow.com to see when you can watch full episodes in your area. And don't forget to sign up for the newsletter.